So this is a best of 5 from the ESL Open Cup Korea, number 28. Played just a couple days ago. Best of 5 as it's the semi-finals between the blue Zerg and the bottom left-hand side. It is Dark, who is actually playing in his first ever ESL Open Cup Korea. He hasn't played in any of these before. So really cool to see him showing up and taking part in this one. As in the top right-hand side, we do have the red Protoss player. This is SOS from Jin Air Green Ring. So Dark versus SOS, a best of 5 series. Now, to me, Dark is maybe not quite as hot as he once was. You know, he's been looking a little bit shakier as of late. I still think pretty deadly and obviously a great player, but I feel like you go back a few months and Dark felt somewhat unbeatable, or, you know, definitely last year, Dark felt like he was just on a tear and he would never be stopped. You know, Dark hasn't quite looked like that as much here in 2020. But of course, you then compare him to SOS, and has SOS looked like much in 2020? Well, no. I'd say that this is maybe the most underwhelming year from SOS ever so far. And then I say that, and then I'm like, well, actually, what was that? You know, what did SOS get up to last year? And I actually really struggle to think if he you know, got much done last year as well. And I actually don't think he did at all. So, yeah, SOS on a little bit of a downswing. I know he's starting to play a lot more again. I don't know if he was taking a break on purpose or for whatever reason, or he's lacking motivation, but it does seem like he's playing a lot again now. So it's going to be fun to see what he comes out with here against someone like Dark. Definitely could be a weird series because, I mean, any game with SOS can get weird and wonderful very quickly. But then Dark, it really doesn't shy away from being an aggressive player if he wants to be. So yeah, absolutely could just get into a very weird set of circumstances as this Overlord flies up toward the natural. Cybercore is about to finish the Nexus. It's halfway done on the natural. Couple Lings about to pop out. The Queen on the way through. The Warp Gates building. All of this getting going in the early stages of game number 1. So far, we're waiting to see what SOS will open this series up with, right? You know, will he go Twilight? Will he go Stargate? And I guess I was actually just mentioning this before. As he goes Twilight Council, just before we get too deep as well, I was saying we maybe upload this one on YouTube. So if we do, hello YouTube, how you doing? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Trying to push 25,000 still. And of course, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy the games as well. Helps us out a whole bunch. But with that said, we do have the Adept just heading down to the bottom side of the map, and obviously doesn't want to get too aggressive because most Twilight Council builds really rely on you keeping the Adepts alive. For Glaives, obviously self-explanatory. If you go Dark Templar, then you need the Adepts alive to protect the third base, as this Adept, though, does get in and gets 2 drones. Shade's just a moment too soon. He is right to shade away, because if you cancel there, the Lings stay on top. It's not worth getting an extra drone kill if you lose the Adept. Keeping the Adept alive is the most important part of this. He actually does get a creep team of 2. This will not be a shade. This will just be the Adept backing off. And it is indeed going to be Glaives, so that's the choice here from SOS. Now, I know we're all very used to seeing Glaives, but there has been a lot of players who have gone into different types of Glaives lately, where we've seen some players add none more than just the 4 racks and going up to like 5 racks or something along those lines. So we have been seeing a little bit more, say, racks, gateways, obviously, but we have been seeing a lot of, you know, those builds to kind of switch it up a bit. See what SOS fancies in this series. Obviously, you know, can add on Dark Shrines behind this as well. Dark goes into a nice quick Roach run, so looks like he'll go into a kind of a low Ling count defense against this. Just wants to get the Roaches up, but okay. Those are 2 extra gateways I wasn't expecting. I was expecting maybe 5, 6 gateways is very all in. I mean, I guess that's SOS for you. Yeah, I was kind of alluding to it. I thought maybe not in this game, but right off the bat, we actually get it from the start. So it's going to go up to 6, but yeah, that's not really what I had on my mind. I was kind of more thinking 5. 6 is very committed. Like, 6 is like, you must win the game with this sort of territory. There's very little, you know, fallback from that. So, that's a little scary as you see the extra Adepts coming through, Roaches, and a lot of Lings on the way. I feel like with the Roaches coming up so soon, it really feels like Dark's already going to be setting up to be on top of this and to really respond without too many issues right away. You see the Adepts continue to shade on by. The Roaches and the Queens get here to push the Adepts back, so keeping them at bay. The Lings will gather up on the front of the natural. Another round of Adepts already warping in. Jimmy gets picked off. I mean, do you just see the roaches? And I just stand here. I mean, the idea is here the Adepts need to start splitting up. They need to start pulling units out of position and then trying to take favorable fights where they can overwhelm. But, I mean, he tries to warp in and there's already Lings underneath the warp prism. So, that's not exactly set for success from the start. And these Adepts just take a beating, and the few that survive are already very low HP, hence difficult to make something happen with as a follow-up. So the Adepts pull back into the center. These few Adepts load up. 24 Lings in the production tab. Lair in the main. Like I said, there's just not really much of a follow-up you can do as SOS from this. He takes an extra gas now, so it starts to look towards something here in the future. But, you know, even still, I'm looking at this and I'm not currently seeing it. I'm not seeing where you actually do take this as these Adepts dive in. They look for some roach kills. They're going to commit to the shade. And they go up into the main, into some circlings now. Against just the Lings, they should be able to fight pretty alright. They do okay, but then the roaches catch up. They take a lot more damage. Dark pulls drones away from the third base. And these Adepts are just not going to find much success here from the start of this. The few roaches will come around and try and chase those Adepts down. Yeah, they end up shading up through the top side, so Adepts through the center. RoboBay is already building in the main base, so SOS looking to a future in this game. But a RoboBay, what do you do? Build a Disruptor and pray that you can get some, miracle shots? He's warping in Stalkers now. I mean, the 4 Stalkers will hunt Overlords, so it's not a bad idea. The problem is these 4 Stalkers don't do a lot in an actual fight, but I mean, at least getting a couple of Overlords is useful and is easily done, so it's a couple kills, supply blocks Dark a little bit, so it's been a fair success story up until now. Dark has the lair, but yet to build Roach speed, so that's obviously probably his next step, I say, then he actually does drop down a Slayer instead. The thing is, a RoboBay especially, there's nothing on this that really protects against Mutalisks, so it's not a bad idea from Dark with the RoboBay as the follow-up, basically. I can totally get behind what he's doing right now. It is going to be a Disruptor. At least SOS goes Blink. I mean, that's one benefit here. If those meters go onto the map, but even then, how many Stalkers are there really going to be? Is he going to have a third base? Probably not. This is pure Adept defensively right now against, okay, no Roach speed, but still a lot of Roaches. Roach speed doesn't matter so much if they get on top of this. However, Dark backs away, gives it some respect. Backing away for the Lings, or is he just going to back away altogether? Looks like he's going to back away altogether. Does not want to commit in, but he's going to get the run by into the main base. So straight up, splits off a few Lings into the natural. Yeah, units warping in to deal with this. SOS handling it okay for the moment. The Lings get in, they pick off a couple probes. In the main, they'll get one more. And the natural, another probe or two going down as well. You see this Overlord taking a few more shots at the Stalker. Get some damage done. 9 Mutalisks building from Dark. It's got a good Mutalisk counter. 4th Hatchery building in the front. Plus some missiles on the Evolution Chamber. And there are double Disruptors in the Prism. I mean, I feel like SOS is like, got his heart set on these Disruptors saving this game for him. But then the Mutas are going to show up, and right now there are 9 Mutalisks. There's 5 Stalkers. Now a few more Stalkers warping in. First Disruptor shot goes. It's a good few Roaches. That's not a bad start. He just needs a Stalk warp in on the army though, right? Like, if you don't get a Stalk warp in on the army, the Mutas do just overwhelm. Where are they, Mutas? Now they're going to go across the map to begin with here. So Dark will give up the 4th base. He'll let that finish, probably to buy more time where these units just fight this base rather than just going to chase his army down. More time for the Mutas to get here, deal damage, and then pull back home for the fight. Obviously, this is going to kill pretty much every probe, so this is going to essentially force SOS to be truly all in, just in case he wasn't beforehand. Opening Stalkers defensively as SOS will continue forward with the rest of this army. Can the Roach Ravager just hold this? I think it can until the Disruptors come into play, and the Disruptors are what make this a little bit more difficult to judge. First Disruptor shot hits one Ravager. He nearly lost the Disruptor. He goes to the ramp, and he gets a pretty good connection. But he's lost 46 probes across the map. He's on 11 workers left, and Dark still has the numbers, and as soon as the Disruptor shots are fired, the follow-up to this, well, there's just not that much left. There's now going to be pure Stalkers. One more Disruptor showing up. The dead Warp Prism. Well, SOS just doesn't have much at all, and obviously from the initial Glaive attack, not really getting much done. This is always going to be a pretty good game for Dark, and SOS is not able to change the tide of battle with those disruptors. Not enough. And that's GG and Dark picking up the first game in a best-of-5 series. On the bottom left-hand side, our Blue Zerg player. It is from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Dark. On the bottom right-hand side, our red Protoss player is SOS. Game 2 of this best-of-5. As the pylon starts up, Overlord about to pop, and a lot of build-up here in the early stages, and a simulator on the way in as well. As we get this going, game number 2, just going to see our Overlord continuing out into the center of the map here, and the Gateway just building in the main base again. That's started. We do see our hatchery on the natural getting going. Golden Wall, I mean, when it's SOS involved, you always wonder what the hell this is going to be, and looks as though he's going to mine out this bottom side. So we've seen a lot of expanding on this bottom side, then proxying the Stargate, like somewhere around here or so. So SOS, I know he's actually enjoyed that build himself as of late, and maybe that's what we're going to see is this will just be initially the expansion in the natural, but I do believe there's something more than that. Now, this does come at a cost. These are 2 probes which are essentially long-distance mining in the early game. 2 probes that you wouldn't usually need to long-distance mine or anything, so it does work out in terms of timing of the minerals for the base, but it is still overall less minerals mined than what you should have mined at this stage, right? So there is a cost to doing this, and I really feel like sometimes if you figure this out, you've got to realize that, you know, if Dark knew about this, he could mine out these minerals himself, and then because the initial structures go here for the wall on this base goes up so much slower, and if you're not walled here, you've got straight access into the main as well. A link flood through that bottom side could be very dangerous. As the pylon looks like you're going to get that straight up Stargate proxy on the bottom of the map. So going to go straight into that as the 3rd hatchery already building up the left-hand side. So Lord flies into the natural Adept to begin with here from SOS, but it will just be Stargate as soon as possible. So super quick Stargate. The thing is, right now, Dark is realizing this, is just not realizing this at all. He knows now that there's a bottom side nexus. He knows that there's no nexus here, and it's very rare to see a 1-base commitment. Just out the side, Adept is going to go and shade forward. So an Adept shading out, a couple of Queens being built, Stargate on the bottom of the map, and again, a couple of extra probes still being produced. So more probes coming out with that warp gate. Nice to have that as an addition. Yeah, Adept just continuing all the way over to the far left. Making its way along, Queen on the ramp, and our first Oracle will begin its production. So we'll see how off guard this really does catch Dark, because he does start to mine out these minerals on the bottom side, but very slowly. So he does realize he wants that opportunity to go down in that direction, but he's in no rush to do it. Hey, this Overlord, is it going to get a peek of this Stargate? Not too much sooner than the Oracle would be revealing itself anyways, really. So he still doesn't really... Oh, he stops too soon. Okay, well, he sees the Oracle a few seconds in advance. That's still good, because maybe he could respond by getting a Queen in position, but he kind of just doesn't... SOS kind of realizes he's being seen. He moves around. He's going to go to the natural. Well, he's got 2 Adepts coming into this natural as well, but there are 2 Queens near the front here. He's going to take a lot of damage on this Oracle. The Adepts stay on the 3rd base where they just continue to pick away. I think they got 8 kills. So 4 drones in total for the start of this right now. 2nd Oracle about to pop up, and still these Adepts on the map. That's one of the things you can do with the, with the Stargate opener. You don't need the Adepts to protect a 3rd base or anything, so you can be more aggressive with them and keep them out on the map to try and get more done. As we see the Twilight count, some extra gates as a follow-up. And this could be Glaives, unless he wants to go into like a very fast charge timing as the next step of this. Glaives would be the more common way to follow up if you just go for a single Twilight. Obviously, if you go like Twilight Forge, you maybe go like Charge or Twilight Forge Robo same time, but just the Twilight usually is just Glaives. He is just on 2 gases with 3 workers on each. I'm going to say Glaives is the build, as we do see the rest of the Lings just continue to pour out, so plenty of units coming out to protect. The dangerous part of Glaives with Oracles is that if the Oracles can obviously support the Adepts, and these Lings go down very quickly. So let's see what Dark can do. I mentioned this lack of a wall-off over here before. Well, the Oracles actually get recalled home. SOS realizes that as a large problem. He will just wall the ramp, and then he's going to use the oracles to defend the mineral line, and for the moment it works out, but that not being walled off is definitely a continued issue. Does Dark not know about the Stargate still? Wow, he didn't realize the oracle actually spawned there. He just thought it was coming through the bottom side. He just didn't check for that at all. Yeah, Dark definitely in a little bit of... Well, he is in the dark a little bit. He could have shut this down already. Not that it's really being used any further, right? But it's still nice to get rid of it. It's a free pylon kill. It's an extra pylon SOS has to invest into back at home. Robotic facility down onto the natural expansion then, as that's going to be the follow-up here. But already a lot of adepts, and I gotta say, there's no Roach Roaring in play. I'm terrified for Dark right now that he is going to get the catch on this. These Lings are going to get around. These adepts are going to shade back. I mean, that is a nice catch. As the Lings move up into the main. More Lings coming over, going to start nibbling that pylon at the frontier as well. Will re-wall with the gateway and a couple of extra pylons behind it. Lings go straight into the natural, but there's still, I mean, it's still glaive to depths. It's still glaive to depths. The rest of the Lings will be back onto the map as well, and it's going to see that Roach Roaring going to finish onto the Nat. As you do see, the gate is going to finish very, very soon. Warp Prism about to pop out of the Robo facility, and we do see the Lings around the bottom left-hand side. Adepts continue to shade through the bottom side for the moment. It's a lot of adepts. A few roaches continuing to build. These other adepts just continuing to the far left, and I mean, there is no wall off here, right? Because the minerals were mined out by Dark, so now the adepts have a way to shade up. I mean, in a way, I like that Dark was able to buy time to get roaches up, but I still just wonder if the numbers aren't too much already. These adepts just gonna sit and fight the roaches. They get a few kills. Prism here to support. Roaches struggle to run down. I mean, they do run down, but maybe they don't really want to, because it is a narrow area, right? You can only get so many down at a time. Now you've got adepts about to hit the third base, and I just don't think Dark, I mean, he's making a lot more roaches now, but I mean, this is an overwhelming amount of adepts. They're going to shade onto this ramp. At the same time, the adepts show up on the third, so that's going to be drone kills over here. And these adepts are doing crazy amounts of damage as we see queens and roaches and drones all being picked away at. Wanting to shade into the main, but unsuccessful for the moment. Yeah, but you know what? He's on top of the drone line, so you're already getting so many extra kills all over again. The other adepts over to the main, and just going to be seeing the couple extra roaches continue to go down. 24 workers picked off so far. The roaches up this left-hand side. 27, 28 workers down. I mean, Doc just lost his entire economy. He's on 26 drones at this stage, and there are still a huge amount of adepts. And the issue is you can't counterattack. You can't do anything about this because these adepts are just going to run around you in circles. So if you try and counterattack, you're going to lose even more. And SOS takes this low ground third base. I guess because he's walled in over here, he can't get to this base, which would be the normal third, even from taking the bottom natural. So he takes a forward low ground third, and you know what? It's just going to work because of the damage he's gotten done. And SOS is looking good for game number 2. Try and tie things up here against Dark. What's building in the main robo facility, still pumping out them disruptors. Again, the adepts just controlling the game. It's plain and simple. We see the 4 Stalker warp in like we saw last game. There's so many overlords on this bottom side of the map to go and kill, so those are just going to be free pickings, and the last thing Dark wants to be doing is spending any resources having to rebuild overlords. So this is really annoying from SOS. He actually does just bypass these overlords for the moment. There's a couple Stalkers here. It's just paying attention to the adepts again as they get one more roach kill, but what can Dark do from this position? Well, I would have said his best chance would have been a larger attack, but we kind of discussed why that's not possible, because the adepts would just come in, and the problem is if you have a larger attack where you then just ignore the adepts, it's just so, you know, you're just going to lose so much. He recalls the adepts around the bottom side SOS as he's about to get blink. Dark kind of has to gamble on, maybe he could have just purely built units and then just overwhelmed this army as, you know, SOS commits to an attack, but I think that doesn't work with the amount of damage he took. That's the sort of thing that can work if you lose like 10 drones. Losing 30 drones? completely different story, and that's a disruptor shot just to say, get out of my game. Signed SOS. Game 2 on Golden Wall. He is absolutely got the numbers this time around. Comes up into this main. These roaches get pushed back. A disruptor does not quite land there as the Overlords keeps on falling away. The Adepts are going to shade on through. The other roaches coming in. And we do see GG called. SOS is going to tie us up 1-1 this time around. Fun build on Golden Wall will do the job to put us even into game. As losing on Golden Wall is our blue Zerg player in the top right-hand side. This is Dark. Taking on the red Protoss in the bottom left, we do have SOS from Jin Air Green Wings. As we get into this Protoss, this is game 3 of the best of 5 semifinals here in the ESL Open Cup Korea number 28. Loving the SOS emote spam in the chat. It's a nice emote. I actually didn't realize how nice, I guess only really works on dark mode, but just like white with a black outline text works. Amazing. Other casters hate this man. Look how he brilliantly, individually, single-handedly took over 80% of the SQ casting market in 5 years. I mean, I didn't take it over. You know, a lot of what I cast is either my own events or events that are open to anybody to cast. There's very few events where I cast and I'm like the only caster. It's not my fault. I've been making my own events since like 2012, you know? Definitely a bonus. When you need content, you just like click your fingers, you make an event appear. As he set up and get this going, as you see our side core building on the front, and we do see the probe heading across to the upper right hand side. So the probe moves over, making its way across. We do see the hatchery into third hatchery setting up. Drones in production. Cyber core is coming through. Queen building on the natural expansion as well. Just a little bit of setup here. A couple of queens coming through. Nexus is building. I'm just going to see our probe out into the center. This probe is going to move forward and seeing what's going on. Council already building in the main. The Adept continuing to shade up the right-hand side. And we do see our Overlord is out overhead. So, set up with that. Our Creep Tumor goes down. And obviously not much to talk about just yet. Our Twilight Council on the way in. Here are nice and chrome. Nice large map. But you kind of expect with SOS and Dark in the game, a nice long game is probably not what we get. Twilight Council are open. What do you think, guys? Glaives again, or maybe a switch up into a Dark Shrine this time around? I wouldn't mind seeing a switch up into a Dark Shrine, but SOS says, why, you know, why Dark Shrine when one can just go Glaives again and again and again and again? Link speed setting up, as we do have the Queen on the third base. Adept is going to shade up toward the natural expansion here, and just a few of these gateways continue to come into play right now. So a few extra gates coming through. Very much so what we expect. I guess the big question is, what does SOS do next? Does he add on gateways number 5 and 6 like in game number 1? Does he Dark Shrine follow up? Or does he just go for the more standard 4-gate Glaive Adept opener? Which is obviously at this point something we haven't seen yet. So, you know, first game was Adept with 6 gateways. The second game was Oracles into Adepts. Even if that was 4 gates, it still wasn't quite this build. And, well, apparently SOS just likes what he did in game number 1. So he'll do that as Dark goes for that nice early Roach Roaring again. So again, I do like where Dark takes this, or how Dark gets set up to deal with 6 gates of Glaives. Feels like that works quite okay for him as this Warp Prism moves out, picks up an Adept on its way, warps in 2 more. And with that Glaives about to finish up, we have the pressure of SOS coming onto the map. This time he'll go for a Dark Shrine behind it, though. So that's something he didn't do last time, right? It was just the Adepts, if I'm not mistaken. So no Dark Shrine last time. Switches it to a Dark Shrine this time. And you can kind of understand why that's a feature as Adepts will unload. 2 more Adepts warp in, and just going to be seeing all of these joining up together. As the Adepts pick off a Zergling, 2 more Adepts warping in. All of this going to rally up to the upper right side of things. And again, extra Roaches, extra Zerglings, all in production. Dark Shrine on the main base. Again, that Dark Shrine started. The Adepts continue through, shading toward those Roaches and the Lings. Extra Overlord still in production. We do have our extra Adepts. Continue to be produced, and of course it's the Dark Shrine as the follow-up that's going to be the big question here, because Dark doesn't have spores everywhere, does he? Oh, he does. Wow, Dark's really well prepared for this. Alright, it's just going to be pure Adepts then. Now move across and trying to find some positions. Of course, if you can draw units out of position with the Adepts and the DTs can go elsewhere, that can be a success story of its own. And right now, winning the fight against these Roaches is going to continue to fight here. Yeah, I like this, right? I mean, this is absolutely a fight you're winning. Unfortunately, you can't warp in here. The Queens do cover well in the main. As the Lings commit through to these Adepts. Now they're going to shade, though. A lot of Lings going down. What's the warp in looking like? It is just more Adepts, so no Dark Templar taken to the field just yet. And SOS does manage to shade back around to his reinforcing warp-ins. Job well done right there as the Adepts continue through onto the natural. We do see Lair building in the main. Extra Lings, extra Roaches continue to come up. And we do see a few more Adepts. Now, sorry. This time it is GT's warping in. Man, SOS just made so many Adepts. I'm just convinced the Warp Prism can't make anything other than Adepts. Adept printer got upgraded, though. It's now a Dark Templar printer as well. 4 DTs into the unprotected third base. And this might be how SOS gets some real damage done. There is nothing here, but there is a lair completed. So you can get an Overseer, but is it in time to deal with 4 DTs on top of your hatchery? No, it's not. It's actually just a straight-up anti. Morphs in on top of the base. It'll be here as soon as possible. 6 seconds to go. Super close. Oh, the corrosive files force the DTs away. The transfusion was good for a moment. SOS commits. He loses 1 DT, but he gets the hatchery. And SOS puts Dark down to 2 bases. The DTs find Dark out of location thanks to the help of the Adepts. And SOS starts his own third base behind this successful third hatchery snipe. Big play from SOS as the Adepts shade up to the top. Just continuing to move their way around here. The Nexus is added in on the left-hand side as well. So again, that Nexus up. The probe will build a pylon just off to the side. Now the Forge added into the main. Another gateway being built as well. And just seeing our single Zergling from Dark down into the third. Looking to see what's up. And this probe going to take a few extra shots of damage. So already taking a few extra hits. We'll go down. And our sentries and the Stalkers here will be able to pick off this Overlord. And as we do have the Adepts going to shade up into the main. Lings looking for a little bit of a surround. Lings, drones being picked away at. He's actually going to get 5 kills. The Archon's on the third base getting a few of these as well. So Archon's having a great time. I saw one of them up on 7 kills already. So yeah, not sure if all the kills were just on one Archon, but in general, great setup for SOS. Love where this has, gotten him to so far in this game. Definitely has been a lot of, steps in a good direction. It's been really great so far as he gets this Overlord, picks off a Ravager as he goes. Does well on that, and then this Prism looking to do a little bit more perhaps. Tunneling Claws on the natural expansion. We'll see the Dark setup was obviously kind of a little bit funky. Going Tunneling Claws, I think that's a misclick then. That already changed his mind because he doesn't get burrow upgrade. So Tunneling Claws, believe it or not, my friends, you can't move underground if you can't get underground in the first place. So yeah, he decides to cancel that. Maybe just feels like with the way the game's going, he can't then afford burrow as well. It's just not going to be worthwhile. Decides to go a different route as we do see the melee upgrade finishing those. So as the melee can switch into Ling Bane at this stage as he goes to the 4 bases. And Dark, again, it's been a struggle to get up here. You've got to remember, for all the damage SOS did, he was on a 7-minute third, so it's a very late third base in that regard. It's not as early as it usually would be with a 4-gate glaive build or anything along those lines. And that's what allows Dark to somewhat stabilize off all of this. And see he's taking some bad fights as well. It has been still an income advantage. This is what he had, and then the third base died, and then he gets it back online. So, again, it sets SOS up into a good position for movement to the next stage of the game, though, and that's exactly what's happened. With the Robo Bay on the way up, we've seen Colossi today, we've seen Disruptors today. Not all in this series, but we have seen those, both as options. As this War Prism loads up the Archons, pulls them back over to the left. And the Sling Ravager army continues to move out the front. Prism looking to see where it can go and what it can do. Hallucinated Phoenix is poking away at an Overlord. So just scaring them off. Move, everybody, move! He's like the sheepdog of the Protoss. He doesn't hurt anyone, but he hurts them in the direction he wants them. Not that he really wants them anywhere. I'm just talking about nothing, waiting for this game to get interesting again. As a few drones go down, so with Colossus on the way, I mean, Dark is just massing up on kind of mid-tier tech units, right? So if you're going to play like this as Dark, I really feel like you need 80 drones, so 10 more. But I also feel like you need to be aggressive. You need to be on the map. You need to be fighting. Like, he's maxed out now. He needs to, with Bane Speed, go. Try and reset that army of SOS and then go again, right? And that's the power of it. Never letting SOS settle on a really good worker count or anything of his own. So that's got to be the goal here. As that's a lot more Banelings morphing into the center of the map once more. The Lingbane Ravager army continues to the bottom left-hand side. And there's a Zealot that's in that wall off. Colossus gets caught. Wow, now he loses the Colossus already. That would be massive. I mean, it's already low, and now in some trouble as the Lings will break through into this natural expansion. Shield batteries and cannons are not yet ready. Stalkers go blinking forward. Good force fields on the back. Corrosive Files will have to break that down. An extra round of force fields, but the Banes are now available to get up. We do see a few more force fields, mostly catching units. Good trades from SOS. I like it. I feel like that's a good enough defense for the moment. Loses that Colossus, but that was the one mishap here in amongst this, and obviously when that was already out the front, and he was caught a bit off guard, there wasn't much else he could do about it, so made the most of a little bit of a rough scenario there. He's now getting his next Colossus up, and production continues, and Dark says, yeah, I'm actually probably not going to break you on this. So he goes to a Hive to at the very least add on some Vipers and get something extra against the Colossus and so on, and to help him out in that way, as we see Lings and Roaches through the top side, grabbing themselves a Zealot already. Now the rest of Dark's army out around the bottom. Bane's gonna run through. Zealot is there. We do see the Lings, Roaches, Banes continue to build. So let's go charging in. Tree was going to cancel. Just going to be seeing the extra Lings all producing at the moment. So a lot of Lings on the way up. Hive about to finish in the main. The rest of these Banes from Dark out on the map. Plenty of the Ravagers up the top. And this Colossus coming through. Lasers down a Zerglin already. Big push from SOS. Going to catch some of these Banelings. Dark responds in time though. Doesn't lose them. Pretty, that's pretty big. Things come in, picking off the Stalker, and we're just going to see the Queens. Facing away the War Prism as well. Zealot is here, the rest of the army moving around. Cloud's just not going to get the super low HP Prism in the back. A few drones, a few probes being picked off. Stalkers continue over. There's 3 melee adrenal glands coming through. Lurker Den is the next step from Dark, apparently. So Lurkers for the later stages of this game. I feel like Lurkers, it's such a late stage to add Lurkers in. I feel like if you can get to a lot of Lurkers, then great, but do the Lurkers really help you? I don't know, it feels like such a weird next step, but then I guess what else are you going to try and do against this army? I can't believe this Prism survives, because now you get ZTs and Zealots warping in, and they're going to create issues over here. While SOS pushes at the front, the Corrosive File's not going to do much just yet. The extra drones going down as this hatchery just straight up cleaned out. And that is Dark's 4th base, so now he's knocked down at 3 bases, 4th on the way. Dark Templar kills itself by killing a Baneling. The rest of these Dropper Lords setting up, so going to be seen to move into the main in the next few moments. Lurker Den will get up then. Obviously, then you still have to get some of these Lurker upgrades. Focus Colossi continuing through as we see a couple of these creep teamers being picked off. Roaches and Ravagers continuing in. Continuing up here, some of these drones being picked away at still as well. Proper Lords getting, getting in position, but DT is defending, so I don't think Dark's really going to find much across the map just yet. He's at least going to get the lurkers up, and that really should bring him to a point where SOS maybe stops punishing him, pushing around. He might actually be able to hold 4 to 5 bases at this stage, but he's had so much trouble getting to 4 or 5 bases that you can't help but feel like that SOS is going to be feeling great at the moment. And I was going to say, if I'm SOS right now, I look at this game, I'm like, well, I'm comfortable enough to go Skytoss, right? I'm comfortable enough to get into carriers. And that's his move. He adds on the Stargate. Obviously, he doesn't have one yet, so he has to go Stargate, then Fleet Beacon, extra Stargate. I wouldn't be surprised if this was 2 more Stargates with the Fleet Beacon and just straight into carrier production, because he's got money. He definitely feels safe. He's put a lot of pressure on Dark. I don't see any reason why SOS doesn't just make the next, the next big step in terms of improving his army here. SL upgrade is on the evolution chamber in the back. Lings go running into the left-hand side. Cannon there to pick up a few kills. Cannons continue to fire, and Lings will continue with that surround. Archons and Colossi and Stalkers too, all down to the bottom. Gonna see the Stalkers blinking in to try and protect this base. I mean, good attempt from Dark, as he still has Lings over this left side getting some probes. Nice save from SOS. He needs to just get some cannons and batteries on these bases, right? That's the other thing you need to do alongside the Stargate. He actually doesn't do anything with the Stargate, by the way, apart from build an Oracle, so no Fleet Beacon yet. But yeah, the next step would just be to, cannons and batteries and stuff. Just these Ling run-bys don't do as much. You can battery overcharge and heal the Nexus if you need to and so on, so... Well, Dark doing the right things to keep SOS at home, and that's allowed him to get this lurker count not just up to a high number, but also to get the upgrades on them finished. Adaptive Talons and Seismic Spines have finished up since the last time SOS was across the map, so that's going to make things a little bit better for the lurkers, and that's why I was worried about going to the lurker den this late on. Felt like, trying to get all those upgrades and stuff might be, tough, but made it work as the main run-by doesn't do much. Good response from SOS, pulling the probes at an instant, or in an instant, just straight away pulls those away. Lost Sign Stalkers picking off those Zerglings here, and will continue out and around to the right-hand side. So continues out to the far bottom right. All of these lurkers joining up together. Fleet Beacon, extra Stargate. So that was what I expected when the first Stargate finished, but it still does come in just a little bit later on. I don't think there's any shame in just going straight to it though, right? I think it really is going to be one of the big ways to help deal with these lurkers as well. Nice catch of these Ravagers. Doesn't drop any force fields against them though. SOS, he is still going to get 2 of them. Those Archons run up a ramp into lurker fire, and you cannot do that. The Stalkers are setting up to come in over here. Nice Revelation. That's the importance of the Oracle as well, right? Permanent protection when you drop that Revelation until the Revelation fades. It's not good to rely on observers who can get sniped down mid-fight. You have a Revelation, you know it lasts for a set amount of time, you know you've got detection to deal with those lurkers for that amount of time. Some Viper's going to get some good abducts. That's a Colossus, that's an Immortal. Re-abducts the Colossus again. The drop in the main was a Colossus, and then supported by DTs and Zealots as SOS makes this a bit of a wild fight in this main base. Infestation Pit goes down, the lurkers are going to relocate. Colossus gets saved. And there is not currently detection in the main for either player, so these lurkers and DTs both can't see each other. It's just a mess of spines that are firing, and finally the Overseers show up. The Prism going to sit in the corner. Of course, there were Vipers, not sure where they are now, to perhaps get some extra picks. They are around, they get an energy, they could definitely bring that Prism into range and get that killed off. As the lurkers are running into this army, though, Dark taking some damage. He tries to burrow on top of the Colossi. At the moment, though, SOS responds well, pulling back away from it. Now he's actually just going to commit into this fight. He's going to go for these lurkers. Blinding Clouds to try and help, and I think that's too much. I think Dark will hold on, protects the base. Back in the main, though, Zealots and the Colossus make a return. Lings are already on the way over here. Hydras too, but they're all very flimsy units that the Colossi can absolutely help to kill. The Zealots just want to get rid of the Hive, though he wants to get rid of Viper production, but he doesn't actually get the Hive just yet. Now he goes for the Hydras. He should have gotten the Hive at the very least. He put so much effort into killing it, and now it's going to remain alive, but there's no way that Dark lets this Prism stay alive again. Surely not. I refuse to believe it. As more carriers in production, that's what SOS is going into behind this, but his supply has dropped massively. Now he might not have the support for the carriers that he really needs. 11 lurkers plus 2 missiles. Oh, it feels dangerous right now for SOS. If Dark gets across the map and tries to get something done, Ooh. Alright, well, look, there's a couple of extra Ravagers coming across, and they're going to make their way through, as we do have the carriers on this bottom side going to come in, and picks off the Lurker already, so Lurker will go down. Extra carriers being added into production. Psystorm on the way up, +1 air weapons being added in. We do see 5 more Hydras in production with that Lurker about to complete here. So this Lurker going to finish in just a few moments' time, and seeing our army continuing down to the bottom side of the map. Board gets picked off. The Nexus on the south side as well is good. We see a few extra Vipers coming in. Prism finally shut down. Like I said, Dark was never going to let that come back into play, even if he didn't Viper abduct it immediately. He left Hydras here, you know, to make sure it didn't come back in until he did get the Vipers there to get the abduct. It just feels like SOS is struggling to rebuild because he lost an expensive army, and it's not, you know, he's trying to rebuild carriers, but now he also needs to rebuild potentially, you know, Colossi or Archons. I mean, he has 1 Colossus already. He could just go like Carrier Storm. I'm surprised to see no Mothership though. The Mothership, I know we like to meme about it, but in this sort of scenario, it's just a nice addition and does make it way scarier for the, you know, for the Zerg to try and engage in, because it's difficult for them to see exactly what they're fighting into. And if, you know, you don't get to see where the High Templar are positioned, you don't get an exact carrier count, so it's hard to make the judgment on taking the fight. It's going to be seeing our interceptors continue to build up, as there is the Mothership on the way. But again, it's going to be a little while until that is out, so maybe SOS won't look to make much happen. And I've got to say, from the way this game's set up, Dark is now on, what, 6 bases? He's got 6 bases, obviously a lot of mined out bases as well. Nearly lost that main, but he's got 6 bases in total, and, you know, it's against the 6 bases of SOS, and look at resources lost. It's been bad for Dark, but not super terrible. So I actually think 6 base on 6 base is okay here, especially because SOS may struggle to mine from some of these external bases, especially at the same time defending here and down here. Of course, that's why this army is going to position and fight down here. There's a few of these changelings being picked off. So that's coming up around the top. A High Templar are going to finish the warp in, and still this Prism moving around as well. Few Zealots getting lifted up here. A couple of Infestors still on the way out. Pathogen Clans on the way through with the +3 missile attack upgrade. Continuing to build. Game does slow down and calm down quite a bit for the moment. Hydras and the Overseers out around the top. Carriers in the middle. +2 air weapons. Chrono boosting away, and the +3 shields. I mean, shields is obviously huge because they affect so many of your units. Man, I do wonder now though, like this is getting to be like mass carriers. There's a few High Templars supporting. I just feel like a couple Archons and so on can still be great on the ground as like an addition to this. Obviously the Mothership gets here and this starts to look really, you know, very much so like a proper late game Protoss army. Neural Parasites already upgrading on that Infestation Pit. So already getting that Neural Parasite up and running. Warp Prism up to the top of the map. We do just see carriers going back down the bottom side. The High Templar left behind though. SOS needs to be careful of that if he's using 2 separate control groups for High Templar and carriers and so on. Doesn't want to forget to, you know, A-click with the second group with the High Templar and leave them behind, because that would be kind of sad. Lurker drop harassment does absolutely nothing. Shut down immediately. Carriers are here. We really did just slow down a bit in this game after it was so hectic, a lot of fights. Both players just say we want to kind of rebuild up to being maxed out. Doc's being maxed out, but from Doc's point of view, he can slowly trade out some units and improve into a better army based on what SOS has right now. So he's not being in a rush to take a fight, which may, you know, basically means he has to completely rebuild as well. Army continues around the right side. Spore Crawlers are set up from Dark, and do you see the Warp Prism is going to fly through the top? And going to unload a few Zealots into the main. Interceptors coming through. Spore Crawlers being picked away at. And these couple of Lurkers in the front as well are taking some damage as a couple of them continuing to go down. The Microbial Shroud. Oh my god. I mean, in this case, it actually works out because the High Templar are too far back to storm and abuse anything that kind of sets up in it, but Oh, he actually just used Microbial Shroud. Guys, we just saw it 25 minutes into this Size and Chrome game. Hive does get picked off. Did he rebuild a Hive already? I feel like that's very lazy or very kind of cheap of Dog not to rebuild a Hive when this one's sitting on 100 HP. You do want a Hive for your... he's already rebuilding a lair now, I guess, but... yeah, you kind of want the Hive for the Viper production, so... it's nice just to have already the new one up, just in case. Because what if this happens at the same time of a fight, you lose your Vipers? Then you don't have Vipers for the Remax fight, right? So, just in that regard, might be a little bit better as a few Lings chase probes that a long distance and waiting for this base to get up and running. 25 minutes in. And the third game of this best of 5, which is tied up 1-1. Is anybody's for the taking? SOS has a huge bank. Dark has a large bank, by the way. Only 50 drones. That does mean his army supply is 150 versus 130, which is quite significant as well. It's a pretty big lead. But of course, it means he's mining much less, and especially on a rebuild, Dark only has 1,000 gas to rebuild with. So Dark's gas count is definitely the biggest problem. And maybe that's part of the issue of having been on the bases which he's taken. Like, he didn't really establish the top side of the map, which is where SOS is able to get to now and really take some of these extra bases. I don't know. It just feels like Dark's running out of gas. He actually does have gas remaining here on 3 of his bases, so it shouldn't be too bad. High Templar looking for potentially a couple of feedbacks. How about that? Well, that wasn't all of the Vipers. There are 2 that still have full energy. It's a lot of the possibilities taken away. SOS going in, and he's going to start with a few of these. Here we go. Microbial Shrouds go down. Big fungal growth across everything, but all of the Infestors, what we just told about not having gas bank to rebuild, 1 Infestor remains. It's going to get feedback. It will not die, but you can't really afford to rebuild those Infestors. There's a couple of abducts in the end here. The Mothership gets abducted in, drops a Time Warp. It's trying to make a getaway. The Mothership gets targeted down in the end as the carriers were the priority initially. Okay, Mothership goes down, but honestly, it's done okay. And now there's just Hydralisk left as these Interceptors try and trade out. He's kind of running out of Interceptors here, though, SOS. I think he has to back away and rebuild. Otherwise, if he continues to fire in, the Hydras will just overwhelm it. One final carrier goes down. The rebuild from Dark is 19 Corruptors. Might not even be bad to see SOS just building some Void Rays, but of course, he doesn't know about those yet. This is also where some Archons could be great. Obviously, Storms do great as well, but a couple Archons, if the Corruptors make a dive in for the carriers, the Archons protecting those on the ground with the splash damage can go a huge distance as well. Dark will not get maxed out. It's the gas bank that's going to limit him. He also only just now started +1 missile attack. Oh, sorry, flyer attack. And that's a huge difference compared to, okay, only +1 armor on the sky, but about to be +2. And I actually think Dark, because he hasn't used air units until now, the carriers sound scary, but when you realize they have no upgrades, they're actually just not going to be as good as you expect them to be. So this is just a rare stage of the game where I would say actually getting Corruptors up against carriers just might not do much. We'll find out in this next fight, but all SOS has to do is trade somewhat decently because he still has money to rebuild with. That higher work account is working out for him. Probe will come forward, we'll build this Nexus. +1 flyer attack, like I mentioned, ticking along. SOS. When do you want to just go, though? Maybe waiting for the Mothership? Oh, there's a Neural Parasite. He's got a High Templar. He feedbacks another of the High Templar, but these Lurkers start going down very quickly. The first Storm is good. The Lings are going to go for the High Templar, though. They can't protect themselves. He has to drop a Storm on top of his own HTs. Here come the Corruptors. He misses the next Storm. Now drops a Storm on the Hydras. It just doesn't matter, though. He's going to recall the carriers, but I actually really feel like he could have just stood here and continued to fight. I mean, now Stalkers are warping in. There's actually just not that much on the ground, so it's Corruptors that kind of push this back. Like I say, you can look at the supplies, you can look at a lot of this, but Dark just hasn't done enough. He might win the, this slight fight here, but he's never going to win the game. With what he has left, with what he can afford, I mean, the Lings did surprisingly well. They actually got a lot of the High Templars. He basically nullified the High Templars with the Zerglings because the Zerglings forced some weird storms. They had to, High Templar had to storm themselves. And he was out of position. But SOS is good to take game number 3 after 29 minutes. SOS takes the lead of this series 2-1 over Dark. And what have we got here? Mr. Dark, you have forgotten to build a drone. On the top left side, our blue Zerg 12 pooling. is Dark here on Death Aura. Up against the red Protoss on the bottom right-hand side, it's SOS. Nice quick probe across the map from SOS, so looking for a hatch block that will actually just run into this 12-pool play. As we get this up and ready to begin with here. Probe goes up into the high ground and into the natural toward the main in the next few moments. The drone from Dark comes down, and Overlord is just building up from Dark here in the early few moments. Getting that started now. Obviously, you kind of move into this as SOS. You're like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't believe you're not hatchering. He's being very careful before he moves up. Like, he's ready for a drone to run down and run past him, but now he sees a 12 pool. Now we see what SOS responds with. If he just goes for the double gate wall off, or what the plan may be. Usually just double gate is the best way to go about this. And this is such a narrow wall off area as well. You can actually just do 2 gates and you're walled off. You can just go gate into Cybercore. This drone shows up as though it wanted to block the wall off, though. And now he's going to get a hatch block down. Hatch block, but then you've already got 2 gates of units on the way, but they will have to busy themselves protecting against the lings, so that will delay it. So do you pull probes or do you not? Apparently he decides not to pull the probes. Because he has 2 gates, you don't usually need to pull probes, but then I think maybe because of the fact it's a 12 pool, you won't be able to put your units all on that hatchery right away, so then maybe the probes make up for that. Definitely a very unique scenario. You don't see this one play out so often. The gateway finishes, and this probe... Wow, the Zealot! What timing, showed up there. I was actually just watching the probe, like, is he going to build a pile? I wasn't even looking at the Zealot, just warps in at the right time. It's like he teleported into existence. That was beautiful. Alright, well, 2 more Adepts on the way from our Protoss play. Now, of course, this hatchery is in the natural, though, and he's not doing anything about it. And 2 Adepts, all they really do is allow the Zealot to move over here and start damaging it. So, yeah, I'm kind of a little bit shocked right now as to how this is going. These feelings are around the side. Depths will shade up. He is going to put some pressure onto this hatchery then. Builds a shield battery too. Obviously now Dark can build some, lings off of this as well. And so he will start to get lings on the other side of this wall off as the Adepts go across the map, so they will have access to a main base that, well, it's got lings building, but there's no obvious guarantee of what might happen there. He's going to lose this gateway, SOS. The thing is, you can't cancel the shield battery or anything either because you absolutely need it to finish. You can't rebuild it if you cancel it, right? So that's the decision you've got to make, as now probes are chasing down these couple of lings. Adepts are going to shade up into the main mineral line. This is going to go for it. He should just commit on drones, right? Oh, he's not target firing just yet, so there we go. Gets 1, gets 2 drones. I mean, any drone you kill is really worthwhile, though, because Dark's already down by 9. The Adepts back at home as well. Looks like this is pretty much well handled. It's pretty much shut down at this stage. Let's kill off this hatchery and then the group will dissipate. The only scary thing now is, I guess, if you need to wall this off, you have to build something here instead of here, but there's plenty of Adepts and there's nothing that Dark can really do. He's on no gas, so he's got no ling speed. Well, these Broodlings will go up into the main, but they will not be able to do too much else, as the extra few lings just not worth it, is it? It's just not worth the money. They're just going to die to Adepts. However, it does mean the Adepts can now move straight across the map. So maybe they could have been a sacrifice, right? You sacrifice those, you commit those lings and it buys you more time at home, but it's an expensive sacrifice. 150 minerals. Adepts will continue to shade up through the top side. So they're going to arrive just outside the natural and just going to be seeing the robo facility is on the way up. And that robo facility up and running. Again, Adepts into the main, the lings. Wanting to try and catch it. No ling speed, and that's a lot of lings to not have ling speed on, right? If I look at this as SOS, I'm like, oh, that's a lot of lings. I'm kind of terrified. Not the case just yet. The Adept's just going to move around, doesn't get much done. Yeah, Dark Shrine going to be coming up here then from SOS off the Twilight Councils. That's his next step. He's still 1 base, remember. I can't believe this, but there was actually a queen off this hatchery. I didn't even see that as SOS is sad. Did SOS lose something crazy, interesting here? Did the queen get a kill? Sorry, I completely missed the queen in the main. I just assumed that hatchery was down. There wasn't that stuff going on, but I just never see this queen. There's so many creep tumors down. I'm so dumb. Maybe SOS didn't even see it because he hasn't done anything about this until just now the observer pops out. I feel like we all just missed this queen. I feel like this queen's been up in eternity and I just didn't notice it at all, and apparently you guys in the chat didn't either, so at least I feel a little bit reinforced in the not noticing, although maybe you guys didn't notice because I observed it badly. I'm sorry, guys. That was... I like this. There's queen pop out last second, then there's like 6 creep cubes down. I'm like, nope, it did not. Okay, alright, guys. Well, Overbay and Dark Shrine is coming up, so... Again, next step here from SOS ends up just expanding to the 3rd base initially because obviously the natural is still blocked here. Well, they're about to be done. Well, not about to be, but it's on the way at least, so... Dark making progress on what is just a 2-base setup for himself still. There's only a good drone count here, though, and of course the big thing is, of course, you look at the income, which we can't do because we... God damn it, there's no game HUD on this game for some reason. You can see the mineral difference is you can just see the income difference right now, and that's been a thing for a while. So definitely a little bit problematic there from SOS, although he does supply block Dark here for a moment, so things aren't all bad for him. Just going to be seeing the Disruptor is about to finish up in the main base, and that will pop out, and a few Stalkers going to push the Overlords away through the top side. Oh, that's 1 extra kill. Supply blocks Dark a 2nd time now. These Stalkers have been a thing throughout this entire series so far. Disruptor on the way as we do see the Adepts continuing around. +1 missiles, Roach speed, both on the way up. So continuing with that as we do see the rest of this getting going. A few Stalkers to the front here. Roaches and Queens coming down the ramp to chase it away. The Adepts get out up into the main. But will not commit once more. Yeah, so Disruptor to start. I mean, we've seen Disruptors have some crazy hits today. Definitely be the case here as well. There's already 2 of them on the map. Prism speed about to be done, so you can take those Disruptors on the map as well. Tries to hide them so they're a little bit more of a surprise to Dark, so Dark's not thinking about having to deal with them. They need to do something, though, because there's a lot of Roaches moving across the map, and if SOS can't handle these Roaches, he's in trouble. Disruptor. Disruptors in the acceleration zones are hilarious, man. Like, they just move so quick. They feel like SOS was like... I feel like both Dark and SOS weren't ready for that. SOS fires it, he's like... Dark's like, oh shit, it's gonna be fast. And then SOS is like, wait, I can't even control it. It's so fast. Amazing. Blink is on the Twilight Council. Then there's a few Lings go in. A couple of probes already being taken down, and the Stalkers are there to pick away at a few of these Lings. I mean, the Roaches show up in the end. The Disruptors never got major connections, but I'm honestly not worried for SOS looking at what Dark is running at the moment. There is a tunneling clause on the way up on this natural expansion, so getting that built obviously gives you then the ability to add on some extra harassment here as well. Gives you that choice to burrow through into different mineral lines and bases. Finally, Ling speed as well. You've seen so many... I mentioned this earlier. There was so many Lings for not having Ling speed, and it's been kind of comical watching them just do absolutely nothing this entire time. Oh. Well, Tunneling Claws is coming through as that's a Disruptor shot to land on a Spore Crawl, and there's another one! Hey, that's actually a pretty good connection. Hits a bunch of the Queens and gets a drone, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously doesn't one-shot Queens, but brings a lot of them low on HP as these Roaches still looking for openness. For some reason, SOS is way out on the left side of the map. And these Roaches are going to get through, and a few of these probes going down. There's about 14 kills as we started this, so see how many they get. Actually, not too many more. They focused to kill the Immortal. Super Battery didn't save it. Was out of range. Ah, but SOS not allowed to mine from that 3rd location. The Disruptor shot on the flank is going to get just a couple Roaches. We are so close to Blink. If he had it, he could chase those Roaches more easily. He should get it before those Roaches get home, right? 13 seconds. Corona boosted, so it'll be less time than that. And the Roach is going to peel away to the left side. Ooh, SOS a little bit unsure where he wants to go. He finds an Overlord. This Dark is going to be supply blocked yet again in this game. Dark does not want to look at his time supply block statistic at the end of this, because it's definitely not... It's going to be a lot higher than what Dark is used to seeing. Let's just say that at the very least here. There's a couple extra Roaches still building up. Queens get there. Prism gets pushed away. The Burrow building on the right-hand side, and that's a Disruptor to finally pick off 2 more Roaches over in the corner. The disruptor shot. Roaches trying to figure out where to go. Well, shots will not do much. And we do see +2 missiles, the burrow. He actually did this last game, right? He started up tunneling claws, and then he actually cancelled it. And I was like, well, you didn't have burrow. He actually gets it this time without burrow. And now needs to add burrow back on. Killing some drones here still with these disruptors. That's 2 or 3 extra with that shot. So SOS keeping it busy on the top side of the map. Now going to recall the prism, but it goes down. There goes 2 disruptors. Oh, and that maybe opens up even more of an opportunity here for Dark to get damage done with this heavy, heavy roach count that we're seeing. It's a lot of roaches at the moment, my friends. That is a lot of roaches. Adepts around the right-hand side. As roaches set up on the left. Disruptor +2 attack upgrade. All continue to build into play. Shield battery and Photon cannon added on as well. +2 missile attack, missiles on the Evo chamber. And these stalkers moving around to the left-hand side. Roaches continue through, and just going to see the blink across, and those roaches get taken down immediately. So roaches picked off. The other roaches from Dark heading down the right, and just going to be seeing +2 missiles continue to set up at the moment. Will finish in just a second or two. Adepts continuing down the right, and Ling Roach Ravager joins itself in the middle. We do see a Queen going to throw an inject down onto the natural. Just going to be seeing the carapace upgrade from Dark. Continuing through. Ling's able to kill the Zealot on the left-hand side. I mean, next step of this is obviously SOS is starting to get into a bit of a better army. Carapace on the way. There's an Overlord speed coming through. I mean, that's the next step for SOS. I mean, the next step from Dark was kind of meant to be some burrowed roach harassment, but we're just not seeing much of it. There's not really a lot going on, so we do just settle down. SOS gets to a better army, and we'll see how that does, trading against this roach-focused attack of his opponent. All of these units up to the top side. Observers, keeping an eye on things. I think that's important for SOS, because he also wants to know if there's a switch-up in plan, and there is from Dark. So he's going to go for what he did in the last game as well, which is setting up for the hive via the infestation pit into the Hydra Den, so he can add on the Lurker Den. And I imagine it's just going to look very similar to how it looked in game number 3. Army up the right side. Roaches along the far right. Stalker's blinking in. Going to find some creep tumors already. So able to get rid of a few of these. Lings and roaches and ravagers all back up the top. These roaches are going to load up into the Dropper Lord, and they're going to go dropping down the right-hand side into the main base. Plus eye through the centers, we do see the Lurkers are building, and again, even with the Lurkers up, you still really need those Lurker upgrades to make them super effective at this stage. Just gonna see the couple of trick teamers going down, and again, SOS may just be a little afraid to push into what is just maxed out Ling Roach Ravager, and you know, while his army has improved recently, it's not really there yet, right? But it is, you know, now more than just kind of what was previously just a lot of Blink Stalkers. Hive about to complete, and again, that really opens up what Dark wants to do here, I think, is straight in, gets a Queen. This is SOS looking to make a pick here or there, but he gets stuck trying to go back up this ramp. Oh, the Corrosive Files get a double kill on the Overseers. Nice response from Dark over here. Continues to keep track of this Prism, responding it with immediate effect, minimizing any losses. Now straight into those Lurker upgrades as base number 4 finishes up from SOS as well. First Stargate from SOS. I mean, this game taking some similar turns to what we saw in the last. We might be headed to another 30-ish minute game. I still feel like Dark is just in such a better position than last game, though, right? SOS isn't slowing Dark down as much. He's not expanding faster, and I really feel like that might be Dark's opportunity just to end this at a bit different stage. Especially if he, you know, you look at his bank right now, he's got money to, you know, fight and rebuild and go again. Archon trades for the Disruptor getting 2 roaches, and now we've got the Prism with an attempt into the main, and that's obviously one of the things that was very successful last time from SOS, warp-ins into the main, but Dark is quick and in position. Oh, it has does maybe let the army come over here a little bit, but then the lurkers are in location, so it's not like this army can push much further forward. He's a depth shade in. Dark pulls away from that, and yeah, very well handled by Dark. Defending in all different positions. The disruptor shot will be split away from, but with the split, Dark is going to find himself losing a Ravager to the blink, so decent job of this. I mean, just a well-controlled army by Dark. Honestly, I mean, he's doing a great job. I mean, he makes it look easy, but in reality, he's looking at 3 different places. He's consistently keeping on track, keeping track of where disruptor shots may be. He's, got his lurkers in a position where they're not going to get overrun by this army. There's a lot of good things being done here by Dark. A lot of good things being done here. Credit to him. He's playing this well, as you see a lurker morphing on the ramp. Prism going to go and hide in the corner as we see another Stargate building up. Fleet Beacon is about to finish, so SOS was a little faster after getting the first Stargate to go straight to the Fleet Beacon this time around. I did feel like that was a little bit of a weakness from last time as well. Dark, you do not want to SOS, sorry, you do not want to fight this. And here comes Dark with this big push. This was something he was never really able to do last game, right? It was always SOS with the army to keep Dark back and to keep Dark pinned. And there's just, the harassment's not working out. He loses a Colossus that goes in over here. And that's a mistake from SOS. And now he's chasing with so many of his Stalkers. Does he actually have a way to fight this? I'm actually not sure he does. It's a lot of lurkers in an aggressive position. And SOS just isn't controlling the game. Like he did a nice and Chrome. And hence Dark is just going to kill this 4th base. He can get knocked down at 3 bases right now as SOS. That's going to be a struggle to keep on affording what you want to build up to here in the later stages. Disruptor shot does surprisingly little, considering how many units are in that position, in that cluster. Oh my god. There's no Storm! He's got High Templars. He thinks he has Storm at least building, but he doesn't. I can't believe it. He's forgotten Storm. I mean, that would have been obviously one big thing to help out as well, but I think Dark realized it before SOS did, because he was just like, oh, you're not actually casting your Storms? Cool, I'm just going to keep on running in, clumped up into your army. Usually that doesn't go too well, but in this scenario, it worked out just fine as these lurkers are getting a lot done. They're going to go and get rid of the 3rd base, and that basically makes this, what, bit of a base trade? I mean, obviously the Parias could clean up everything here eventually. You're going to lose everything in the process as SOS, and again, eventually is the big important word there. What can Dark get up in the meantime? Well, he's actually got a ton of money. He could, of course, at some stage just bring these lurkers back home to help himself out. It depends how much, because if you get up here, you can also stop SOS from warping anything extra in. If you lose these hatcheries, though, you got to remember that Dark then is going to end up losing his reproduction. So then you maybe lose one of the big advantages you have as Dark, which is that big, big bank. He's getting extra lurkers up, though. We've got 2 observers on the map. One of them here, one of them heading home, because there's actually just no vision, and that's what Dark has realized as well, and hence the lurker's still here. There's no vision, there's no way to see that these these lurkers. They can just burrow up and kill everything, and SOS actually just has no build on the map. He's gonna die to the base trade. I mean, that's why he's camping these lurkers with the carriers, because he's gonna die to the base trade, because he can't build anything else anywhere. Dark doesn't even need to fight this army. He's just gonna kill every single structure, repositions the lurkers, 1 set, 2 set. He's in position on every structure now. SOS loses this game. It's just a few seconds time. He's got no base rebuilding. This pylon goes down. These gates, the Stargates go down. SOS is going to realize in a moment. I mean, again, he's actually doing okay. Dark can't really. He can slow down this fight. He can't actually take the fight. Oh, the Observer gets here. The Observer gets here to try and deny this. Okay. Can he get rid of the lurkers in time? He's going for the last structure. The robot facility is going to go down. And the Observer did not get there in time. Is that a game-winning move if you clean these lurkers up? Maybe not, but it gives you hope, right? Because over here, there's not much left. Damn. That actually got ridiculously close in the end. SOS nearly had it. But in the end, bottom left-hand side of Eternal Empire, final map of the series, our Blue Zerg from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. This is Dark. What a fun series this has been. Going to a 5th game. This is way more than I expected it to be. Glad we picked it out of cast, as we have in the top right. Our red Protoss player is SOS. Couple of shoutouts just as we went straight into this one. Thank you so much, Soth Lulu, for the Twitch Prime sub. Caution Z for the 4-month resub. And also on the 4-month resub, Hazard Bui, just as we get this game underway. Hey, high ground pylon. Cannon rush time, huh? 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 Yeah? Okay. This is going to be a cannon rush to start us off here from SOS. So getting this underway. Probe through the front of the natural expansion, forge in the main base. Just going to be seeing the... Where is he going to cannon rush, though? Okay, just comes in. He's like, okay. Drops pylon on the high ground. He's going to triple pylon on the high ground. So Dark's going to be locked into his main. And then he's going to build the cannon rush down here. That's the plan. Sometimes you cannon rush over here with the robo facility, etc., if that's the idea, and then you get up to the high ground. But now he's just going to cannon rush over this side. This means he can also deny the natural with these cannons. Gateway to wall this in. I mean, we'll see eventually what the full-on idea of this is. It's SOS. Doesn't get the block on that cannon. Oh, he gets his probe caught. It escapes away as the mineral walks out of there at the end. Is he trying to... I think he wants to wall these units in. Or wall these drones in almost. Decides not to. He cancels that pylon. He's going to build a cannon on the high ground. This one should be engageable by the drones, although supported by the low ground cannon. Dark moves the drone out on the map so you can hatchery elsewhere, so you can still be up to 2 bases, even though you had to cancel the natural. And we'll also send another drone on the map. Now, 2 ways you can do something here. You could absolutely just hide a hatchery in a weird place that won't be found. You can also 100% go across the map and actually try and do something weird with like a proxy hatchery. That's something we actually used to see as a bit of a response to some of these cannon rushes. So there are options right now in terms of what can be done. There are absolutely some choices. As this drone up to the top. Gonna make its way around the 12 o'clock location here to start off with. It's gonna be setting itself up. Probe moving around. Zealot into the main. And those cannons into the main base as well, getting set to go. A few spine crawlers are building, so it's masses of spines from Dark to try and fight against this. That's going to be the plan. I mean, there's just more and more cannons building. Not even a Cybernex or Cybercore at home. So we're a long way from getting to a robo facility. We actually just have, I mean, what do you even call this? The spine crawler versus cannon standoff of 2020? The Zealot shows up, but it's not going to find much between here. Can just, you know, deny this basically. What even is this, guys? We've got 4 spines versus about to be, I guess, 5 cannons, but the front line is 4 cannons, so it kind of makes me want to believe 4 spines versus 4 cannons. Gonna see a gateway up in the main. Link speed continue to come through, and just gonna see the Zod very nearly goes down. The spine crawler can indeed outrange a cannon. I'm not sure if that's the attempt right now. Try and find the position. I think though the cannons are kind of covering each other, and there's not enough creep out up here to outrange it properly. And then if you try and you could maybe outrange this one. I think is the one cannon I think you can outrange. Oh my god, the Stalker! There he gets shredded on the way, and Robo Facility coming down. Dark goes for a Baneling Nest. The idea is he wants to roll Banes in to bust these cannons, and then he can hopefully push forward and overtake this position. There's the proxied hatchery I talked about earlier as well. He also hides a base bottom right, so Dark has just bases elsewhere on the map. Definitely a very weird scenario. Gonna be seeing the spines just sitting here. Kills off a Stalker. I mean, the problem is from SOS, until this Immortal and Warp Prism gets up, you can't really make any forward progress. Zealot finds the base in the bottom right, so one of Dark's expansions is found, but not the other one. The Banes are going to finish up. One of the big things about base on the map is you can actually use it to build more, you know, more units, etc. You can get some Lings out elsewhere. And then maybe even come in from a flank on the other side or so. Some more trying to fight. I mean, the Banelings are ready to go. There's a shield battery here, another one about to finish. Again, the idea is you want to run into this and just bust this down. Here we go. Spines are going to make their move forward. Dark rallied one of them. They come out Banelings. What are they going to go for? I kind of feel like the Bane should have gone a bit more deadly into the center. And maybe a little bit out of sync, because now the cannons are actually going to fight against the spines. They got healed up because the spines weren't there to get the finishing blows. That's it. That's all the spine crawlers dead. All the spines go down, and now there's nothing defensively in this main. Well, there's Lings on the way, but drones are going to continue to drop. There's a spine out of position. And a second Immortal on the way, and there's still the cannons to fall back to. Just the Warp Prism to obviously micro as well. I guess the issue is one Immortal kills Lings so slowly, but a second Immortal showing up should change this up. I mean, you know about the Bane, so that's why SOS is reinforcing the wall off in the main base. Of course, he's just on one base himself. But Dark has bases elsewhere on the map, so this game might not end here, as crazy as that sounds. We'll get rid of this Spine Crawler. What can you do? He's stacking the drones as though he wants to recall them away. He's just going to try and run them out, which obviously makes sense. Cannon's going to get a bunch of them killed. Dark goes down to 15 workers. I mean, he's actually just already got so many drones elsewhere, so he's just going to be droning elsewhere on the map. I mean, obviously SOS is going to reset Dark's tech, kill the spawning pool, kill the Baneling nest, and just really reset yourself in this game. I mean, obviously Dark is also just parked an Overlord here, so sees everything going on. And Gateway back at home could maybe make a Stalker here, get rid of that Overlord. Obviously, SOS already knows also about this bottom right base, but he doesn't know about the 12 o'clock base, and that's his issue. Dark has actually sent the drones there, because that's the base SOS doesn't know about, so SOS may not deny that before there's a realistically good economy up once again from Dark. It takes a while for these Immortals to even fight this location because of the Lings. And hey, the Queens are pushing the Prism back. Nice transfusion. This Immortal getting low. Has to be picked up. No cannons over on this bottom side of the map, right? So, without any cannons on this bottom side, I truly believe that... Oh, sorry, not cannons, but shield batteries on this bottom side. You can't fall back and heal up the Immortals easily. Drones pull in. I mean, again, just doing what he can. Any damage slows this down from going elsewhere and finding another base, right? And that's the whole plan at the moment. From Dog, just buy himself time. He's going to go and expand to the top left. That's going to be his, what, 4th hatchery of this game. Spawning pool on the way down. Bottom right base will be denied. The main base is being denied. There's some drones that were left here that get killed off as well. Five drones killed, as we do have the Warp Gate building in the main. Oracle about to pop out is going to go to the top, so the Stargate is the next choice, but there's 2 Queens over here. SOS doesn't know where this base is, by the way, so he is unaware of just how many drones there are. The fact there's 2 Queens up. I mean, this base has been here for a long time. Dark is here instantly, and I mean, SOS will just try and get a drone or 2, but the 2 Queens target fire is good. The micro is good. Only 1 drone falls. Finds a few drones on this left-hand side that we're running from the bottom right, as he also sees this next base. So SOS getting information as to what the hell's going on. 8.5 minutes deep. And Dark is continuing to send drones. Is he going to try and expand in his opponent's base? Or does he want to take the Rich Vespine? Or is he just going... I don't know. I have no idea. I think he's just going to have to play the top left side of the map. SOS is going to expand in his opponent's natural, which makes more sense than you think it does. Because, yeah, he's got a base up here, but that's safely walled in. This base over here is protected by batteries and cannons, not directly, but you can fall back to batteries and cannons with units if you want to protect this position. And so this game on the Turtle Empire is getting to be a little bit ridiculous. Immortal on the low ground here gets surrounded, so that is a loss. 1 more Immortal down in the game. Dark with the Queens continuing to move around. I just don't... I actually don't see what SOS does at the moment. Like, Dark is down on supply, but SOS... And I guess I think all you need to really do here is SOS consistently, you know, build units and kind of build a large army, and you should be good. I think the worst thing you can do is just to try and end the game here and now. I feel like building a Phoenix is the craziest thing I've ever heard of, because... Why has he got Phoenix? Oh my god, the Immortals get back, but I don't think they're going to save this base, and the Nexus of SOS goes down, and he just recalled all of his probes over here. And all of these probes now can't even oversaturate a mineral line because they can't long distance. Oh my god. SOS is down to essentially 14 workers of mining right now. Why is he building so many Phoenix? I think he just thought Phoenix could do so much. Moving around the map, picking off Queens because there are so few bases, but I actually think a Phoenix are a horrible call in the end. I mean, obviously easy for me to say, but the way it's playing out, they've not done much at all. If he'd built more Oracles, he would have been able to protect this base. I can't believe Dark gets that kill on that base. That's huge for him. That is huge. Could he have shield batteried it? Actually, maybe he could have. It's very tough to say, right? Yeah, maybe he could have done. Anyways, RoboBay drops down, so SOS, he's been a big fan of Disruptors and Colossi in this series, so we'll maybe see a little bit more of that from him right now as the Queens come in. The Prism gets pushed away over the right-hand side, so it's going back through the top of the map. Oracle is here with the Banelings making their way to the corner. Phoenix come in, couple of drones being picked off. Oracle is just going to get rid of these Banes before they connect onto this pylon wall. There's only 4 left, so pylon will survive. Oh no. But now round 2 of the Lings showing up, so you just still can't mine from this base, and this is... I actually think Dark is bringing this game back because of his denial of mining on this bottom side of the map. In theory, this base was genius from SOS. It made a lot of sense, but in practice, Dark is doing all the right things to just completely deny it. Gravitic drive on the Robo Bay. Building up at the moment. Disruptor about halfway done. Going to be finished in a few moments. We do have the Prism and Immortals back around the top. The Phoenix coming through and an Overlord picked off as well. Phoenix and Immortals still hanging around as the couple of creep team is being picked away at. 12 minutes deep. Dark has the top left. SOS has the top right, bottom left. Dark also has the bottom right. I don't even know. You know, in a way, you could almost split this map up into like a noughts and crosses board. You know, Dark tried to go top left through top right. He's now set up to take the middle, but actually SOS could just take the middle of the map and win in noughts and crosses. I guess it's not really set up like that at all, but that's how I saw it for a moment. I mean, yeah. We're setting up. I mean, this game continues in a very weird state. Disruptors here are going to try and fight each other, or fight off the Lings. I mean, the problem is with the Disruptors dropping is that it's Lings, and they just don't do well against Lings. It's Disruptors out on the map to try and find something, but so far not finding anything. You know what it is? I just feel like Dark's made nothing but Lings, and SOS hasn't made one single thing that's actually good against Lings. Right? Ally upgrade on the Evo chamber. Just going to see the Bane S's on the top side. So I'm going to get back to some more Baneling production here. SOS. I mean, this is the sort of army I wanted him to build, but I just feel skip the Robo Bay. If you're going to go... I mean, maybe one Disruptor, but I feel like if you're going to go multiple Disruptors, that's where you're going to hurt yourself against what Dark is doing. Colossi would have been great against these Lings. You know, you look at this on the other direction, maybe just go Twilight Council, get Glaives up, and it would have been a great spot. And you had Scouting with the Phoenix to know what was going on, so I can't help but feel that Dark didn't, that SOS didn't make good choices yet. I mean, again, very easy for me to say that, so don't take my, don't let me just sound like I'm being like, SOS, what are you doing? But like, to analyze the game, I feel like SOS maybe could have picked up some of that info and made better choices. Maybe the Disruptors are something he still wanted to help against the Queens. That's a feature as well. But these Queens are only up because SOS also in the first play made a bunch of Phoenix that really didn't do anything else. Melee upgrade going to be done soon. I actually just love Dark's position, right? He's actually really comfortably going up to melee upgrade. He's actually on 3 bases because SOS didn't see the bottom right side base again. And Dark just continued to expand around the map to make this crazy, and it's working out for him. Phoenix are trying to get some shots onto Overlords. The Lair is going to be finishing on the 12 o'clock. A Hatcher on the low ground. Disruptor shots. We'll get 2 Queens. They could have maybe transfused if they were really quick with their timing when the first Disruptor shot fired. And Lings are just running around up here as well. Once again, natural expansion is not mining for a while. Because I guess eventually here, SOS wants to maybe get the main base up. He needs to handle those Lings at some stage. This army's just posturing without really doing anything or committing to anywhere. +2 melee will continue. The Phoenix moving around. Disruptors once again trying to land, and just going to be seeing extra Adepts warping in, but I really feel like you should have got a Twilight Council. I mean, he's had the time to add a Twilight, get Glaives. If you're going to keep warping in this many Adepts, you get these Adepts are a bit defensive at home. That's also 6 Adepts to clean up the 4 remaining Zerglings. Hatchery will be picked off here, so denies the Rich Vespene. I mean, again, SOS maybe feels like this is 2 base versus 2 base, but that bottom right expansion of Dark is massive. Not just for, economy, but also just unit production. Having the lava off that bottom right base adds into, really allows this Ling Bane style to be viable. If it wasn't for that, that might make the difference too. Again, as the observers, we have the benefit of seeing all of this, but SOS is just not quite figured out how this base is down here, and that's obviously deniable as well. And yeah, if you do deny this, you deny these drones, you deny this lava production, and that's huge, because then you really do slow down so much of what Dark can get on the map. We've seen the hatchery here gonna take some damage as my entire screen just crashes. Amazing. That's what we love to see. Perfect. We're back. I'm just gonna see a disruptor shot going forward, and is gonna get shot straight towards the queens. Couple of shots going off, and just gonna be having the rest of this army still wanting to push forward. Queen gets picked off already, and we still see the rest of this out down the bottom left-hand side. Lings and Banes coming around. Adepts left over here, but with the Banes, if the Banes get a couple shot connections on these Adepts, oh my god, he's gonna get... He's trying to... Why is Doc trying to run into the main? Why is he trying to run past all these cannons? Okay, well now these Banes have just showed up. They've just killed 7 workers. SOS will kill this top side base, but the Banes are still around. They're gonna get a bunch more probes. 18 probes down. The Lings in the, I guess, the main base location here fall. I mean, that's a nice force field. Can he actually kill all these Banes before the probes get freed from the force field? Dog, he's actually just going to find some over the force field anyway. 24 workers down. SOS making some kills on the top side of the map. Still has double the army supply of Dark at the moment. So despite all the, I mean, I say despite the worker losses, but honestly, you've lost so many workers now as SOS that you kind of need to make something happen with this army. There's a lot of queen transfusions. Something has to happen soon. He could do some rebuilding. I mean, he's got 3 bases. He can rebuild probes quickly, but he's not doing that at the moment. It looks like he will just commit to trying to fight, but the transfusions are going to keep this spine crawler defense up. Banes are going to come back through. They do not connect. Good force field from SOS. Man, if he only knew about the bottom right. I mean, I know I've said that so many times, but could decide everything, right? 18 minutes deep. Cannons firing away. Lings are taking damage. Colossus goes up into the main. The probes will evacuate. I can't believe that Dogs just ran by into this main base past those cannons so many times. And I can't believe that it's getting closer and closer to netting him a kill on the expansion. No, SOS! He just left the 2 Lings alive! No, the 2 Lings! 1 Colossus shot, 1 hot hit from anything from death. And he loses the base because of it. What just happened? Oh my god, Prism back on the map and looking for more. I can't believe SOS loses the base in the main. What is happening? Oh my god, look at this. 15,000 to 5,000 resources lost. Dark has lost 3 times as much as SOS, but it's the income. Dark has just mined so much more because SOS has mined out of this space. He's barely mined from this space all game because of the run-bys. And now Dark has got 2 bases in the bottom right. He's going to go up to 4 bases in the top left. And Dark is just taking the entirety of the map. The entirety of the map. Nexus building in the main still as the army backs away. Prism still looking for disruptor connections. Army supplies even out, but because SOS wasn't building probes before, well, now he has no base to send new probes to anyway. Now his economy really is an issue because before it was like, well, he's got an army to end the game. Now he really doesn't with how much Dark has on the map. Do you think SOS still doesn't know about bottom right? When he watches the replay of this game, he is going to shake his head. If he was streaming this at the time, I wonder if he had some fun reaction or so, because he is losing this game because of bases. He sees the creep spread. Does he notice it? Maybe not. 20 minutes. This game started with a cannon rush that forced Dark out of his main. Absolute mayhem has ensued from that point on. Twilight Council into the main base. The Lings up to the top. The Ravager 2 building up here. Queen's in the front, and we do see the Warp Prism is going to make its way up to the top of the map. It's a Colossus to try and deal some damage. Oh, he's finally found the bases in the bottom right as Lings are going to try and run into the main base again. And just with Twisty and Melee, they're going to get a few kills. He tries to hide a couple in the corner. I mean, sOs knows about the bottom right, but if you go to the bottom right, Dark's just going to keep attacking your natural expansion. So it's almost like, at this stage, he's going to send his entire army down here. Well, Dark does have, what, 10, 20 plus workers down in this location? He's got 24, he's got 29 workers down here. So it's a lot of worker kills. It's just about half of his economy. Yeah, as soon as Dark sees that this army is over here, he's just going to make a play for the natural, or he could force a fight because this is obviously an army in a very open position. So it's not a bad location for Dark to just take a straight-up fight on the army. Maybe the safer choice is to just go for this natural there. There are a couple of disruptors. The Colossus out in the open. This disruptor shot finds 2 of the Ravagers. sOs continuing down into that bottom right base, but again losing his essentially natural expansion, and even if it's on the wrong side of the map. And if he loses the natural, the probes are going to get blown up by banelings. Well, sOs has 13 workers left in the game. He's got 1 base up here. Dark will back away for the moment. He did lose 30 workers, but he's got so much on the top left of the map. He's put the economy of sOs down in the gutter once more. And his own economy, while not amazing if you just look at the kind of time of the game and the drone count, but in comparison to sOs's economy, Dark's economy is fan-freaking-tastic. Depths are going to pick away at this hatchery, so hatchery will indeed fall. Rest of this army up the left-hand side. A couple extra Archons still morphing in on the natural. These 2 disruptors are joined up. You guys want to see the workers kill tab of this game? I mean, it must be crazy, right? 77 to 55. It's pretty crazy. For some reason, I was expecting over 100. Man, sOs. Again, this is one of those scenarios where Dark has played an excellent on-the-fly game. You know, as an observer, you can look at this game, you can point out 10 things sOs could have done differently, but Dark made the game weird. He made the game unpredictable. He did things that didn't really make sense, and because of it, sOs, the way he tried to play it out didn't work out for him. And now he's kind of fallen apart as this prison brings the Colossus back to the main. Lingbane Ravager around the right side, just trying to see where it can go. Stasis Ward trying to help. This Oracle alive from earlier in the game. Apparently he's just been sat in the main base this entire time. At this point, Dark just has lings everywhere. Run into an army over here. And army supplies are even still. I'd be a bit more scared if there was more banelings. I think with just Ling Ravager, I'm a little afraid about what sOs could maybe do here, but of course if Dark sees that he's in trouble, he can just morph those banes for himself. And he's always producing more as well, right? And if sOs wants to do something, he has to come on to creep. So I guess the position of the fight is not going to be good. So maybe it just doesn't matter. The Disruptor shot finds a couple of banes, but the Lings and Ravagers are running in on top of this Corrosive Files. Gonna get a lot of this. The Disruptors have finally fallen. They've been up for a long time this game as well, as the Queens are currently trying to fight over here, transfusing each other up. Dark paying attention as he deflects this army back to the bottom left. Extended thermal land still on the way up. Extra Ravagers, morphing roaches being produced. And Warp Prism will go around to the left-hand side. The Ling is still on the bottom of the map here as we do see the Colossus trying to make something happen. This doesn't find anything. I mean, what are you meant to do? There's so many Queens here just to defend the Colossus. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I mean, it just encapsulates the entire theme of this game. That there is a Colossus trying to harass a low ground base from sOs's main, and it's being defended by pure Queen. This Colossus drop pushed away in an instant as a Ling spots the attempt to re-expand from sOs out to Dark's original 3rd location. I can't believe the first base mined out on the map from Dark was the 12 o'clock position on Eternal Empire. I mean, that's just words you never say in StarCraft 2. The 12 o'clock base was the first to mine out. I mean, yeah. Amazing. I think this is coming to a close because I just don't see sOs's army winning the fight. Especially when it's kind of spread out in the main, over on the left side, over here. I mean, yeah. Units are getting caught all over the place. This is the fight, apparently. That is sOs's army. It doesn't look like much. Surrounded by Lings. Can't micro away from Biles. Don't even think he needed the Biles, but it does make it a bit cleaner as the Colossus goes down. Dot. GG. sOs can't believe it. And Dark goes through to the ESL Open Cup Korea number 28 finals in a hell of a series. Guys, if you did enjoy and you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, and if you enjoyed the cast, and do subscribe as well. Thank you so much for watching. You upload every day here on the channel, of course. GG's.